Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this is another exciting video. So in this video, we will be discussing the L part of the solid principle, which stands for Liskov Substitution Principle. Okay, it states that the object of a superclass can be replaced with the base class. Okay, or the child class without like altering the functionality of the program. Okay, let's say if car is a vehicle, okay, and we are creating an object of vehicle and it should be replaceable with the car, okay, without altering the functionality of the program. Okay, so that is the Liskov substitution principle. So we will discuss this principle in this video. Okay, we will take the suitable examples for this code. We will implement the bad code and the good code for this principle. Okay, so without further ado, let's get start into this. So guys, I am in the IntelliJ idea and we are discussing the Liskov substitution principle. So what does it mean? The Liskov substitution principle states that the object of a superclass should be replaceable with the object of a subclass, okay, without altering the correctness of a program. So the example that comes under this Liskov substitution principle is, let's say, bird class, okay. So bird class is a bird, okay. Do every bird fly? No, right? Each real bird which is extending the bird class won't really fly, okay. So that is violating our Liskov substitution principle. So we will see how we can implement this Liskov substitution principle, okay, so that our program functions in a correct way. Okay. Now let's take another example of the file system. Okay. Let's say we are having a file. Okay, that is a read-only file, and we might have the read plus write-only file. Okay. So if a file is having two functions, that is the read file and the write file, then file may be of the only read only, or and if we don't mention the write function in the, let's say, file interface or the class, then we might forget to implement that method in the write file also, so that may lead us to errors. So how we can correctly implement that? So first of all, let's see the bad code. We are having the OCP. Let's close this and we are creating a new class, which is the LSP dot bad code dot main. In the main, we will have the public static void main, and let's have a new file, which is the, let's say, file. Okay, this file, let's say this file supports two method, which is the void read, public void read, which will say the reading from a file, and method which is the write, which will say the writing a file. But let's say we are having a new file which is the read only file, okay, which is extending the files because it is a file, right? And we are uh, saying here public void write. Why we are overriding this method? Because this file is not supporting this write method. Okay, so we will say write, which is the, we will say throw new runtime exception. Okay, unsupported method like this. So we need to throw an exception because this is the read only file and it is implementing this file. So we are not having this write permission for this file. So it is violating our Liskov LSP principle, right? So how to solve this problem, we will see in the next segment. So let's have a good code package. We will say lsp dot good code dot main class. Okay. So in the bad code, we were having some problem. Okay. So we are, if a read only file are also type of file, but when we are extending this file, we need to implement this write method. Okay. Which it does not support. Okay. So it is violating our LSP. So in the good code, what we will do, we will have some code, we will have file interface, okay, which will have only the uh, read method, okay. So it is a file, every file would have the permission to read, okay, and we will have two files, which will be the read only file, which will also implements the file or the readable file. We are having readable in the Java, but we are going to create one more readable. We are having readable, which would be an interface, okay, and we will also have the writable interface. We'll say writable, which is also an interface, okay. In the writable, we will have the void write method, and in the readable we will have the only read method. So let me re-explain this code to you. What we are doing over here, we are having readable interface, okay, we are having the writable interface. Now we will have two types of file, okay. We will have the readable file, right, readable file which will implement the readable readable interface. So we need to implement those method. We'll say reading from a file. Now we are having the readable file. Now let's say we are having some writable file. Okay. How we are going to design this? So it will extend the readable file because it will be a readable file, and also it implements the writable. So we need to implement the method. So we'll say writing to a file. Now we can create any type of file from these two, writable file or readable file. Now let's try to create a readable file only. We'll say read only file. Unable to error. We are having this read only file, okay, which is implementing the readable file. Which implement not implements, which extends the readable file. Okay. And in the write only file or write only file, we will have the which will extend the writable file. Now what we can do in the main class, we will have the main method. So in the main method, we will let's create a read only file. We'll say read only file. Read only file is new read only file. Now in the read only file, we can only read. Okay. And now let's create a write only file. Write only file. So in the write only file, we will have the write and read method. Okay. So here in the read only file, we can write and we can write only file dot read. Okay. So now let's run this code. So it is reading from a file, writing from a file, writing from a reading from a file. So that's how we can implement. Now we cannot access this write method in the read only file. Okay. So that is the correct, okay, correct functionality of this program. Okay. So this is the implementation of the LSP. Okay. You guys can go through this code once. Okay. And if you are having any doubt, please let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's all for this video. We will see the I part in the upcoming video. Okay. So yeah, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.